Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. From Dogworks Radio, sponsored by Alaska Dogworks, professional dog training in Anchorage, Alaska. This is the Team Ineka podcast. On the show, we tell stories from the trail, race recaps, and of course, stories about our dogs. Visit our website at teamineka.com. Now, here are your hosts, Robert and Michele Forto.
Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Michele Forto, and I'm looking forward to hosting this show with Robert about our sled dog kennel, Team Ineka. We're looking forward to sharing stories of adventure and mishaps along the trail about our dogs and sharing each of their personalities with you so that you can get to know them a little bit better.
You know, mushing is all about the dogs, and we share those stories as much as we can over on Mushing Radio, but I don't think we really let the personalities of our own dogs shine, and that's what we're going to do on this podcast.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great way for our fans to follow along as each dog puts in the miles and earns their spot on the race team. On this first episode, we're going to talk about Ineka. He's the namesake of our kennel, and a lot of people have struggled over the years with how to pronounce his name properly. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and relax while we tell the story of our rescued friend, Ineka.
By 2000, I had been mushing for years in Minnesota, but I decided to change up scenery a little bit and move in with my friend Michele in Colorado.
I had Malamutes, and I had really no idea what I was getting myself into when Robert shows up and says, you know, we're going to run dogs right here off of your mountain property in Bailey, Colorado, and we're going to show these kids of yours what it's like to be outdoors.
That's right, and with that, we had to rescue a few Siberian Huskies, and we found one online. And remember, way back in 2000, online was not like it is today.
Absolutely not. We still had AOL chat room.
We did, and through the internet grapevine, we found a dog that was available in Washington.
Arrangements were made. We were told that this 2-year-old white, blue-eyed husky was a purebred and would be on his way to Colorado in the next few days. Unbeknownst to us, as we arrived at the airport, we were in for quite a surprise, weren't we, Robert?
We were. In the crate was a little black and white boy. We thought he was about 2, but he sure did have those ice blue eyes.
Absolutely. Probably the most pale blue eyes of any sled dog either of us has ever had.
So our kennel was just starting then. We had a few rescues that we had gotten from friends and neighbors, but we were in for a treat with a dog that we named Ineka.
As Robert and I looked on at this husky that was black and white with blue eyes in this crate, we asked one another, what are we going to do? Is this the right dog? Did they ship the wrong dog?
In the end, it didn't matter. We loaded him up in the truck and headed into the mountains to our home in Bailey. We discussed names as we were going, but we decided on Ineka. I had a good friend when I was in Minnesota. He was a Native American elder. He had mentioned one day that Ineka meant friend, so we decided on the name for our new dog.
And it just turned out that along the years, rescued friend is what came to be the meaning of his name.
So there we have it. Ineka had his name, and he joined his new friends in our kennel. Our kennel comprised of a motley crew of misfits from local mushers who had dogs that were not going to be able to make their team. It didn't matter to us. We had a group of dogs that we were ready to work with, and soon we had a formidable team.
We sure did. And we had an AKC registered team of rescues. And, you know, in the mountains of Colorado, all the way up to the Black Hills of South Dakota, we were known as the Misfit Kennel.
We started training with an old Risden-style cart. You know the ones, they're the 500-pound behemoths that people don't use anymore. We quickly found out that Ineka was not just a sled dog, but a proven leader as well. What were these people thinking that got rid of this wonderful dog?
Absolutely. We ran him in every position in the team, to test him out, make sure that he acclimated well with the other dogs. And I was really just awestruck by how quickly this dog was able to show everyone else in the kennel. That time we had about 20 dogs. He showed everybody else in the kennel that he was the alpha. In fact, he's probably the only true alpha dog we've ever had. And at that time, our daughter Nicole, as many of you know on our other shows, is a musher as well. But Nicole was only 2 years old when we got Ineka. And so he got her birthday. And she started calling him Sergeant Ineka. Mostly because he didn't let anybody mess with her when she was walking around in the kennel around the dogs when they were on free run. And because he took charge. He was quite bossy right from the get-go.
He protected little Nicole, didn't he, Michelle?
Absolutely. She was able to walk around in her little Oshkosh bagosh with her juice box and her cookies, and nobody messed with her.
So they quickly became friends, and Ineka became the highlight of the kennel. He became one of our favorite dogs over the years.
And the only one allowed in the house, for that matter.
So Ineke's story continues on for the next several years. We had started running up in the hills of Colorado and in the mountains of South Dakota. He was quickly becoming our buddy. Guys, hold on tight, and we'll be right back after this message.
Team Ineka and Robert Forto are training for the Iditarod and are looking for corporate and individual sponsors to help chase this dream. Running the race is the easy part. Proper year-round care can cost upwards of $30,000. From feeding, vet care, travel to races, and more, we give the dogs the best. There are several sponsorship levels to choose from. Check out our website at teamineka.com. We will see you on the trail. Mosh, you Huskies! Gee-haw!
We had been racing around the country for only a couple of years with the kids in tow. They were still pretty young, and this is way before homeschooling was accessible. We found out quickly that their teachers did not agree with our plans to race all over the world.
That's right. They didn't like that Thursday to Monday out of school schedule.
So we ended up having to get out of mushing for a while, but we ended up keeping our buddy Ineka.
That's right. And Ineka became a well-spoiled house dog.
He also became a therapy dog during that time. We had started our dog training business and it was going full tilt, and we thought that we needed to have a way to take this guy into some schools.
Yeah, and Ineka really adored children. He absolutely fell right into that role. And we were still running him around and doing mushing things with just him, but he really enjoyed going on the school expeditions.
So over the next few years, as our business was building up, I still had that yearning dream to one day move to Alaska and run the Iditarod.
That's right. That yearning dream was being held back by me a little bit. Uh, Moving to Alaska wasn't something that I wanted to do. My entire family was in Colorado, and I didn't want to move the kids away from that support.
So in 2010, I made my way north to help out my buddy Hugh with the Iditarod start. While there, I met a realtor friend, and in passing, on the way out, I asked him, "Hey, Dave, if you ever get a chance to find a property that is suitable for mushing, give me a call."
What was it? 3 months later, he gave you a call.
By June, it was already in the works that I was going to make a trip back, and we bought our house pretty much sight unseen.
Yes, so between March of 2010 and August of 2010, our world, our business, and our kids' lives would be turned completely upside down.
Unfortunately, Ineka was getting a little older at this time, and he was facing some health problems. We think it was canine dementia, sort of like doggy Alzheimer's.
On the day we signed the papers for our little home that would be known as Forto's Fort, it was time for Ineka to say his goodbyes. I took Ineka to the vet and we allowed him to pass as peacefully and quietly as possible. And it was a good day, but it was also a very sad day for our family.
With his passing, it was like him saying, I have done my job, now it is time to do yours. The story of Ineka will come full circle. One day I will carry him with me in my sled to Nome, but his story does not end there. Shortly after we moved to Alaska, we got busy starting our mushing dream, didn't we, Michelle?
We sure did. And, your friend made sure that we had dogs pretty much immediately here at the fort.
We did. We started with a kennel partner here in the neighborhood, and we worked together for a couple of years while we began to build our kennel here at Team Ineka and what we know as Forto's Fort.
That's right. And, it didn't take long for us to go from 2 huskies, Alaskan huskies now, and into 40 Alaskan huskies. And, Alaskan huskies are quite different than what we were used to as running in breed class with AKC registered Siberians.
It is true, but we did not leave our Siberian roots. As we moved to Alaska, we got 2 other Siberians from our friend April in California. They would be named Reagan and Bodie, and we will tell their stories at another time. But here we are, almost 18 years from the day that we picked up Ineka, and we still think about him every day. What is your favorite story about this dog, Michelle?
One of my favorite stories is how anytime we would do a road trip, whether it was for a race or not, he refused to eat his own food. He only ate if Nicole gave him chicken nuggets or a hamburger from McDonald's. That was his road food choice, was McDonald's. That's one of my favorite memories and also my most aggravating memories about Ineka.
My favorite story was a race up in Grand Lake, or it could have been Kremlin, Colorado. It was high in the mountains and was very warm that day. I know we have a picture somewhere of me with a team of Huskies, with me in a short sleeve shirt and pushing the sled up the hill. But guess who was in lead that day?
That was Ineka, and it was Kremling. It was close to 65 degrees that day.
I was in the middle of the pack with our motley crew of misfits, a group of dogs that other mushers had written off. Ineka was leading in single lead with our other dog, Zerlina, in the bag. He was doing his job and doing it well, and we ended up finishing exactly where we wanted. That is my favorite memory of Ineka, and I have many stories to share.
Absolutely. And he touched a lot of people's hearts, not just at races, but at every school he ever visited, every story he ever got to tell, including where we honor Ineka in our children's book, a story about him and our kennel and how we obtained Reagan and Bodie, which brings us back full circle to this actual podcast. We're going to continue their stories and tell you all about the new dogs that have joined Team Ineka.
So join us next time here on the Team Ineka podcast, and be sure to check out our other episodes of the Side Vibe, Dogworks Radio, Mushing Radio, and Michelle's Daily Dog.
Thanks for listening, and we would appreciate your feedback.
Goodbye.
Did you know that Alaska Dog Works trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michele Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska Dog Works on social media and at alaskadogworks.com.
If you like our podcast, there are a few things you can do. You can take a couple of minutes and go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also check out all of our Dogworks Radio sponsors and promotions in our show notes. Another thing you can do is go over to Facebook, like our Facebook page, and one last thing, please tell all of your friends by spreading the word about Dogworks Radio. Thank you so much for listening to us. We really appreciate you.
Dogworks Radio is produced by Robert Forto. Logo art by Angry Squirrel Studios. Dogworks Radio is produced in conjunction with KVRF 89.7 in Palmer, Alaska.
For dog training advice, you can contact Alaska Dogworks at 907-841-1686 or visit their website at alaskadogworks.com. If you have a show idea or would like to be a guest, please contact us by sending an email to live@dogworksradio.com.